question, why on earth would you agree a deal where you give them $325 billion? Makes absolutely
because that's not the deal.
Zero.
That's not the deal.
And Piers, I have to tell you, you have three people here who are foreign policy experts who serve their country with distinction, and we know what we're talking about. The $300 billion. And look, I don't like this deal, and I didn't like the JCPOA.
Forgive me, Hagar. With all due respect, forgive me if my confidence in the so-called experts in all this has taken a bit of a battering in the last 16 weeks, because it was little old me, it was little old, it was little old me, it was little old civilian non-expert Piers who called all this from day one. And very sadly, everything I warned has happened.
Welcome back to Reactionary Politics. Today, we are looking at a masterclass in how to dismantle the arrogant political establishment. We've got Piers Morgan on Piers Morgan Uncensored, and he is going toe-to-toe with a panel of self-proclaimed foreign policy experts who think their titles make them immune to basic common sense. Spoiler alert, Piers completely exposes them. Before we dive into the wreckage, do me a massive favor, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss the political breakdowns we drop on this channel. And tell me where you are watching from in the comment section. I want to know how far this community spreads. Let's roll the clip.
Here's what I think may happen in the next 48 hours. The backlash against the leaks of this report have been so big, and many from Trump's traditional support, really supportive base.
He's going to get embarrassed, and he's going to renege on his own deal.
Well, exactly my point. But then he's going to try and change things to be more adverse to the Iranian regime. And the Iranian regime knows all it has to do is bang shut the Strait of Hormuz again and toss some missiles over to the Gulf states. And we're right back where we were when they first worked out that was going to be the most effective weapon in their arsenal. And I just don't understand how Trump gets out of that problem without, in the end, doing what I've been recommending he do for quite a while, which is claim some kind of Pyrrhic victory and get the hell out of this. Because the problem he's got, until that regime's gone, they now know what the most effective weapons they have are. And they're not nuclear. In fact, they're pretty cheap, and they can unleash them at any time they like. A few drones into the Gulf states and shut down a bit of water. That's all they have to do. And by doing that, they hold the world over an economic energy barrel.
And by the way, I think any person on this panel would have been able to say that Iran would be able to deploy using the Strait of Hormuz as a weapon against the United States at any point in this entire process. But I think you're right. I think Donald Trump is going to see the extent to which this is being berated on both the left and right across the political spectrum, and he's going to renege. And the Iranians have something that the United States doesn't have, which is time. I mean, we have midterms coming up, and so political pressure exists in the United States. And as we get closer and closer to midterms, there is a sense that Donald Trump is going to have to at least make an effort, some modicum of an effort, to keep gas prices down. Well, that's not going to happen. And the Iranians know that. And they don't have the same political pressures that the United States has.
I would argue that they
100%.
do. The blockade is starving the Iranian regime. Every day that goes by, they miss out on some $500 million.
But they don't care. The Iranian regime don't care if their people... Yeah, but here's the problem. The Iranian regime don't care if their people are starving. They don't care.
Let's pause right there, because Piers makes a really solid, real-world point. The guest is arguing, hey, if we freeze their money, the government in Iran will starve. And Piers fires back with the painful truth. The people running Iran do not care if their citizens starve. It's that simple. We sometimes project our own normal, everyday values onto dictatorships. In a normal country, leaders worry if people can't afford food because they'll get voted out. In a dictatorship, the leaders eat steak while the citizens scrape by, and they don't lose a wink of sleep over it. Piers is totally right here. You can't negotiate with a regime by appealing to their softer side, because they don't have one. Let's keep going.
They do care to make payroll for the besieged and for the IRGC, and they do care to try to keep their proxies afloat. And if that money is scarce or absent, then the whole edifice becomes rotten and may collapse.
So that prompts the question, why on earth would you agree a deal where you give them $325 billion? Makes
because that's not the deal.
Zero.
That's not the deal.
That is in the deal.
The 300
Right, please.
billion is not money the Iranian regime has access to. The
Correct.
Lieutenant Colonel already said this. And Piers, I have to tell you, you have three people here who are foreign policy experts who serve their country with distinction, and we know what we're talking about. The 300 billion, and look, I don't like this deal, and I didn't like the JCPOA.
Forgive me, Hagar, with all due respect, forgive me if my confidence in the so-called experts in all this has taken a bit of a battering in the last 16 weeks, because it was little old me, it was little old, it was little old me, it was little old civilian non-expert Piers who called all this from day one. And very sadly, everything I warned has happened. So woe be it for me to challenge your expertise, but it seems like my amateurish view turned out to be, sadly, the correct one. I wish Donald Trump had listened to me and not the expert.
Okay, two things here. First, notice how the minute they start losing the argument on basic logic, they pull out their resumes? Excuse me, we are experts. That is always a red flag in a debate. If your idea is good, the facts will prove it. You shouldn't need a fancy title to make it make sense. Second, let's talk about this $300 billion. The guests keep insisting it's only for food and medicine. But Piers is making the most basic point about how money works. Money is fungible. Think about it like your own household budget. If I give you $1,000 and say you can only spend this on groceries, that's great. But that means the $1,000 of your own money you were going to spend on groceries is now freed up for you to spend on whatever you want. Piers is saying that by covering Iran's grocery bill, we just freed up $6 billion for them to fund terrorism. It's basic math. Let's watch Piers bring the actual receipts.
But anyway, on that bombshell,
Here's perhaps, but
we've
you
run out
say
of
you have an
time.
expertise, but you keep saying that they have access to 300 billion, and I'm trying to correct you on something that's false. They are not going to have access.
Well, I'm only reading what I read in the. All I'm
doing
doing is reading. I'm reading the 14-point memorandum,
You're
and in
reading
that
some
it makes
first
it
of all.
clear. It makes it clear.
First of all.
Hang on. It makes it clear
What
there
makes
will
it
be
clear? Something the
financing.
Iranians leaked? They're known liars.
No,
Iranians
this
and
is actually
Pakistanis?
no. This is actually the agreed memorandum.
Okay.
But unfortunately, Donald Trump
Vice
now
President Vance
knows
was actually
no
very
one's
clear
going to
about
buy it,
but no
so
one's
he's now
listening.
trying to change it.
Okay.
Well,
Vice
unfortunately, they are listening and they are reading. Anyway, I've got to leave it there.
I'm going to be very clear about
We will
this,
see.
because like I said, I don't deal in hyperbole. I don't have time for it. I want to tell you the facts on this, because you keep repeating and it's a disservice to your viewers. Vice
I'm
President Vance was
literally
very clear
reading
about
out
the
a
300
clause
billion.
from the
300
memorandum.
billion is nothing more than a potential opportunity if things go according to plan, which, by the way, I don't think they will. I don't think the Iranians are going to give up their
No,
material.
it's insured
I think they're going to
financing
continue
of
to
it.
behave
It's
badly in the Strait of
insured
Hormuz.
financing.
The
No,
300
it's
billion
insured
is-
financing. It is insured
It's
financing.
investment.
You can keep talking over me as much as you like, but I will have the last word on this. In the current 14-point agreement, the rehabilitation and economic development of the Islamic Republic of Iran, ensuring financing of at least $300 billion, also unfreezing assets of $25 billion. If that is a good deal for America, given what its supposed war aims were, my name is Donald Trump. And last time I checked, it isn't. So thank you all very much. We're going to leave it there. I appreciate it.
If that is a good deal for America, my name is Donald Trump. That is hilarious, but more importantly, look at what he just did. The guests were giving him all these theoretical talking points about how safe the money is. So what does Piers do? He literally pulls out the official document and reads it out loud. He reads the part where it says the money provides Iran with unfettered access to funds. He didn't just argue with their opinions. He argued with the actual, written contract. And it proves his entire point. Giving a hostile government $300 billion for its reconstruction defeats the aim of preventing terrorism. What do you guys think? Does Piers have it right about how the money will actually be used? Or do the panel guests have a point? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Reactionary Politics, and I'll catch you in the next video.